In what could possibly be the biggest game for the Detroit Lions this season. Every game means something. You guys know that I believe in that 100%. But this being a conference game against the number 1 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is quite possibly the biggest outside of that second week against the Chicago Bears when we had the opportunity to go 0-2 and then have a 10% chance to make the playoffs. I would have to agree that this is the second biggest game of the NFL season thus far. And we got some really bad news, man, coming from the Detroit Lions Twitter account. We got some like good news, bad news. So the bad news, Kirby Joseph has been ruled out with that knee injury, which means that we will not see him until after the bye week. The good news is after the bye week, Brian Branch will have served his suspension. Terrion Arnold is expected to play according to Dan Campbell. He should be good to go then, and Kirby Joseph should be back as well. So we're going to be down our entire starting secondary for the first time this season. But the good news is 3/4 of them will be back after the bye week against the Minnesota Vikings. Avonte Maddox is out again with a hamstring injury. Sione Vaki, another waste as we approach week 7. We're already in week 7. This right now is a wasted pick. Catch me outside. How about that? There's nothing you can say to defend trading up for Sione Vaki. Terrion Arnold, as expected, is going to be out. Now, here is the good news. The good news is that Taylor Decker, Aleem McNeil, and DJ Reader with a shoulder, knee, and back injury, respectively, are all questionable. Of course, questionable means that you are trending toward playing. Doubtful means you're trending toward being out. So that's good news. Taylor Decker, I hope that you're ready because we're going to need him down the stretch. If not, throw Skipper out there again. Let him get some more game time. But Aleem McNeil is a big deal. That's a big deal. Even if DJ Reader couldn't go, Aleem McNeil is a big deal, and that rhymes. So what a test for the Detroit Lions secondary. Now, it's come out that Chris Godwin has been ruled out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, while Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka are game time decisions. Got to be careful. Both of them are dealing with hamstring injuries. You have to be careful. I think personally they're going to be out. Mike Evans is more of a realistic possibility. If he's all we have to worry about, that's one thing. Then you have a couple practice. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now are on wide receivers 4, 5, and 6. Wide receivers 1, 2, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Egbuka are all out. I don't think Emeka's going to go because his hamstring injury is fresh, and you have to be careful. Those usually end up putting a player on IR. So this is bad news, and this makes that suspension from Brian Branch even a bigger deal because now we're gonna have. So my guess is it's gonna be a Meek Robinson and like a bunch of other guys. Everybody that we brought in will see, as far as the secondary, will see some playing time against Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So so now all of this stuff is working to our advantage to be at home, have that home field advantage. The first time this month that we'll be at home. Somebody in the comment section said yesterday that no home game in the month of October is wild. And I agree. There's several other teams that I think the Cleveland Browns have also not been at home in the month of October. This is the only time that the Detroit Lions will be home in October. And then we start the month of November with a home game. So this is really, really bad news for the Detroit Lions. The entire starting secondary is out. You talk about attrition. And this is why I get so agitated, ladies and gentlemen, when our window is here, that we have to take advantage of every opportunity. Now, these are not season-ending injuries for these guys, but you have to take one game makes a difference. So but the good news is that this game, even with that loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, which apparently they're still going on Twitter about it, even with that loss, the Detroit Lions, with the right circumstances of events, the Detroit Lions could be in first place by the time they play. They will be playing the last game of week 7. So that's the good news there. And you wonder why I say that games are a big deal. If the Detroit Lions would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs and then you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then all you have to do is win and you're essentially in first place, right? I don't even know if the Green Bay Packers at that point could have made a difference. But that's the difference that one game can make. One game can make. If you win a game, then you win a game, you can be ahead of the competition like we need them to be. So what I'm trying to do now is we're going to pull up the standings, and that's what I was trying to get to. If we pull up the standings and we look at the conference situation, let's go to NFL.com and let's look at the conference. I can't believe the Colts are leading the AFC. It's been a long time since that's been a thing. So right now, the Detroit Lions the Detroit Lions are the 6th seed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the 1st seed. If the Detroit Lions were to beat the Buccaneers would be 5-2. The Detroit Lions would be 5-2. The Detroit Lions would hold the tiebreaker. This is, of course, is the only time we played the Buccaneers, so that's why this game is ginormous, because not only is it a win in the win column, it is a tiebreaker as well. If these teams down the stretch, they need to see each other, the Lions would have the tiebreaker. So this game is of colossal proportions. Then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they wind up losing, then the 49ers, so we would automatically at 5-2, we would automatically jump the 49ers and Eagles. But the 49ers and Eagles are the Eagles are on a 2-game skid. The 49ers are coming off a loss. So we would need some help to be in first place. But this game is giant. It's giant. It's going to take Detroit Lions through 7 weeks from a wild card position to basically not only a division leading position, but also an NFC conference number 1 position. Now, if you would have told me during the offseason that the Detroit Lions had a legit chance to have the 1st seed, I wouldn't have believed you, simply because of the schedule. This is probably the most brutal schedule that we've had since Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have taken over, because they based the schedule based on how you've done the previous year. Their first year of the regime, they were the 2nd pick in the draft, 3-13-1. The schedule next year was not as hard. Then it started getting harder and harder and harder. You play other first place teams and all of this other stuff, right? That's why we were able to see the Kansas City Chiefs so soon. We played them 2 years ago, and because of interconference and all that other stuff, because every week there's one NFC versus AFC game or two or something like that. So you have the division, you have the conference, then you have the interconference games and all of that other stuff, right? So this game is huge for down the stretch. And Dan Campbell mentioned so just as much in his press conference today, said that this game is going to have massive implications down the stretch, but you can't look at it for that. You have to look at it one game at a time. Right now, we're taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After that, it's the bye week. Then it's the Minnesota Vikings. And then we'll worry about all of that stuff down the stretch. The good news is, I guess, that we would not see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again until the playoffs. So this team has been right now the Detroit Lions over the past couple of years. Don't forget, we beat them on the road in 2023. And we also beat them when they came to our house in 2020 in the playoff game. And both of those games were tight. They really were. At halftime of the playoff game, it was 10-13. The Detroit Lions wind up winning that game. They were up 8. Baker had a chance to go down, score, maybe send it to overtime with a 2-point conversion, but Derek Barnes picked off the pass. And then if we go back to that Tampa Bay Buccaneer game back in Tampa, it was like a nitty-gritty game. And then that Jamison Williams touchdown kind of broke it open, and then the Detroit Lions were able to win. And if you look last year at Ford Field, the game, really legitimately, the Lions should have won that game. Jared Goff cannot throw the ball. I think it was 53 times, 55 times, something astronomical like that, and we didn't get it done. I have no doubt that will not happen tomorrow or Monday when the Detroit Lions play the last game of Week 7. So, again, the Lions could go from, if they were to lose this game and drop to 4-3, they could drop outside the playoffs. So, keep in mind how big, and this is why I get irritated when I hear you in the comment section talking about just because it's an AFC opponent that it's not a big deal. This is a huge deal. Last week was a huge deal. This is a huge deal. But let's put this in perspective. I understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals are inside the same division, so it matters even more, right? But the Cincinnati Bengals had a chance to drop to 3.5 games out of first place with a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night. But because of that win, they essentially gained 2 games by 1 win. That's how big of a deal this is. Now, that's in division. Okay, this is in conference. So it's not as big as that deal, but it's still huge nonetheless. And the Detroit, this game is going to be massive. It reminds me kind of that Minnesota Viking game last year that, 14-3, 14-3, or 14-2, 14-2, and one team is going to have to be 14-3 and play on the road. The last thing that I'll say about this whole thing is that when it comes to seeding, this is going to be a big deal. It really is. It's going to be humongous for the Detroit Lions but the last time when the Lions are in a situation like this, where their back is kind of against the wall, so to speak, coming off that loss, having lost 2 games in a row in 3 years. Now, eventually that streak will end, but the Lions are trying to keep that alive. Aleem McNeil is coming back, and the enormity of this game is colossal. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a chance to improve to 6-1. And then you have the Detroit Lions dropping to 4-3. So that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dropping the Detroit Lions to 4-3 has massive implications for the NFC North. If that happens, I mean, the NFC North is wide open anyway. Even the Chicago Bears are still in this thing. But if that happens, all of a sudden, the Detroit Lions are like a game and a half ahead of Chicago and Minnesota and Green. Like, everything is bunched up, where all 4 teams are legitimately in this thing. So anyway, Monday's going to be a great day. We will be live. We've got all 3 live streams that I'll be setting up shortly. We'll be doing the pregame tailgate, which will be for subscribers longer than a week. All right. Then we have the actual game stream that will be going live. The game is at 7, so we'll probably start at 6:30 or so, 6:15, and then we'll have the post game show as well. So consider subscribing. Also, if you guys haven't heard, I'm going to change the way I do my live streams. I'm going to change the way I do them. So the pregame show is anybody over a week. When it comes to the Lions weekly on Thursdays, you are going to have to be subscribed for a month. And we may change some things as well. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the game streams and the post-game show open for just general subscribers, so that if you found me during the game, then you can comment during the post-game show, right? But everything else is going to be behind a substantial subscriber time, okay? You can actually set it. I can set it for like a year if I wanted to. It's insane. Anyway, this channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You can be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.